Hello to you, my new master. I am the Avenger, Olga of Kiev. Though I am called a saint, I have been summoned to this class instead. Not that I'm surprised. I am a woman of many shades after all. The fiery vengeance I had in my early reign mixes with the baptismal waters of my later life, and now I am the saint of vengeance.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Void. It's new fan servant time, and this time I'm covering the Avenger, Olga of Kiev. Before we jump into it, I want to give a big thank you, as always, to the amazing artist Sabina. I just love working with her. She always does such a beautiful job and helps me flesh out the designs, especially this time with some of the gold accents and the pearls of Olga's design. And also, of course, a big thank you to the voice actress genescribbles. Did an amazing job, knocked it out. You can find both of their links in the description below, go support them. And now, let's get into this video.
Now, Olga of Kiev was Grand Princess of Kievan Rus from 945 to 960, ruling as regent after the death of her husband until her son could ascend to the throne. I do believe most people would label her as a queen, which honestly might be more correct, though I am also pretty sure that Kievan Rus was a princedom. I looked into it, got conflicting info, and I'm sticking with Grand Princess because princesses can be mature, badass women too, damn it! From the very beginning of her rule, she was a force to be reckoned with. After her husband's death, messengers from Drevallin were sent to her not only to deliver the news, but to bid Olga to marry the man who widowed her, their own prince. Olga was, of course, saddened by the death of her husband, but told the messengers that she would agree to this proposal. However, they should come back the next day so that she could hold the messengers in honor, making the announcement of the union before her people. The next day, the messengers would be hoisted up in their boat and carried to the court as if they were on a palanquin, only to be unceremoniously dumped into a ditch that was dug out for them. It is said that Olga bent over the ditch, watching as the men were buried alive, and she asked them,
Is this honor to your taste?
and that is the inspiration for her first skill, the Grand Princess's Deception. It is not the only instance of her deceiving her enemies either, and we'll get to that. So I believe it's a perfect skill for her. It increases the attack of allies and places nullified buff onto enemies while also lowering their debuff resistance. Her second skill, Cunning Tactics, also bleeds into this. This skill increases the party's NP damage and lowers the defense and buster resistance of the enemy. Her sharp tactical mind was her greatest asset in subduing enemies and claiming tributes, all while bolstering her nation's infrastructure and even being credited for making the first legal reform to be recorded in Eastern European history. And on top of that, according to the Primary Chronicles, she was also responsible for killing 5,000 Drevallins in a single night with her planning. You see, word about what happened to the messengers did not reach back home yet, but Olga sent her own message. She said that she was willing to accept the proposal, but first she wanted to hold a funeral banquet at the site of her husband's death so that she may properly grieve first. This was agreed to, and a large banquet was held, featuring many prominent people from Drevallin. After they were good and drunk, that was when Olga gave the word to slaughter them all, and so they were. And shortly after, the siege began. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying the video, you should let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to know when I upload more fanservice videos, you should hit that bell icon to get the notifications. Now we'll actually get to the Siege of Drevallin in a bit. We have to cover Olga's third skill first. It is Protection of Faith, unquantified. represented as 3 question marks. This increases her defense, has her gain NP, makes her immune to charm, and lets her regain health every turn. You see, later in life, after her son took his place on the throne, Olga turned to Christianity, and was actually instrumental to its spread in Eastern Europe. Now, she didn't spread it herself, but she did set the stage for it, urging her son not to discriminate or persecute Christians. This would actually be part of the reason that she ascended to sainthood in Eastern Orthodox. The exact reasons why she turned to God are not really recorded, hence the name of the skill, compounded with the fact that this is a very strange skill for an Avenger to have, so the question marks showcase the anomaly. But there is also a story about her faith genuinely protecting her, though its validity is not certain. It is said that Emperor Constantine VII wanted to marry Olga, and since she was willing to become a Christian, then there would be no problem for that. Of course, Olga didn't want to marry the emperor, but could not outright refuse him. So instead, she asked that he would be the one to baptize her. He did so, and after she was officially converted, taking on the Christian name Helena, he would propose again. But Olga would point out that since he baptized her, he was her godfather, and to marry would be spiritual incest. Constantine VII would actually reward Olga for her cleverness, and even still call her his daughter. What a woman! But now with this in mind, we are circling back to the siege for her noble phantasm. Olga and her army held the Dravalan city of Iskoroten under siege for a year, though was unable to completely break it. After a year had passed, she sent a message asking why they were continuing to resist and not just submit and pay tribute. Would they rather starve? The city responded saying that they would gladly pay tribute, but fear her wrath and need for revenge. She tells them that her vengeance had been sated by this point, and only makes a small request for recompense over those matters: birds. She requested pigeons and sparrows from each house within the city. The city was, of course, more than happy to pay so small a price for the siege to end. And end it would. Once all the birds were received, Olga would have her soldiers attach pieces of sulfur to their legs, and at nightfall, the pieces would be lit, and the birds set loose to return to their nests. Inside of Iskorosten, the city was consumed in flames nearly instantaneously. Those who tried to escape were either killed or made into slaves. Those who remained would pay tribute, thus completing the vengeance of Olga of Kiev. And this is the basis for her noble phantasm. But as a servant, her sainthood is also mixed in, creating Siege's End, baptismal flames. This is an AoE Buster Noble Phantasm that removes enemy defensive buffs and deals significant damage to all enemies. It also inflicts burn onto all enemies, and further burns evil attribute enemies. Its overcharge is to inflict spreading fire, the increased damage going up with each level. All of her stories and abilities coalesce into this manifestation of a heroic spirit. All facets of her are integral to who Olga of Kiev is. She is just as much as a holy figure as she is a symbol of fury. I can think of no better moniker for the servant to hold than the Saint of Vengeance. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. I am very interested to find out. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. I have to catch you next time in the void. Later.